good, y'all? Welcome to my review for All Elite for AEW Full Gear. My final review for Full Gear. As you guys know, I mentioned this in previous videos that after WrestleMania 40, I'm done with the wrestling reviews, man. Just not enjoying it as much as I used to, and and these are just kind of a bitch to record. Anyway, that's kind of the main reason why. But yeah, man, for this show in particular, man, this was a fantastic show, man. A phenomenal show, man. And like the women, without a doubt, like low key, I would say that the triple threat match for the TBS championship, that was definitely probably the show stealer, I would say, because that was definitely like the surprise match of the night for me, because I wasn't really thinking much of that match. Like I know I didn't really think much of Jamie Hayter's match with not Jamie Hayter, Chris Stanlander with Julia Hart, but then again when they had their match at, like, I believe it was Wrestle Dream, I think it was at Wrestle Dream, I believe it was called, the previous pay-per-view. Then again, I was mostly on my phone to read. I was kind of like, okay, this is the bathroom break match. Heard a lot of people were really into that match, so I was like, okay, I better pay attention to this match. And these women, these three women, man, just absolutely crushed it, man. That was a fantastic match for women, so shouts to them, man. But obviously, the main event was incredible, man. Like, it was a little bit, I would definitely probably say it was probably a little overbooked, but in the end of the day, man, it worked beautifully, man. I was on the edge of my seat, bro. I was like, yo, are they actually gonna, like, switch the belt, or is MJF gonna pull this win out of his ass? I was definitely on the edge of my seat, wondering what was going on, man, during that show, during that match, man. And it was just an incredible match. But yeah, man, without further ado, let's just jump right in. So we started the show off with Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, and Luchasaurus against Edge and Darby Allin and Sting. This was a fantastic six-man tag, man. I had a lot of fun watching this match, man. First of all, loved Christian's entrance. He comes out there, he has his choir of women, singing along his theme song, which would have been nicer if they went all the way with it and had them, like, saying the actual, like, lyrics of the song, because you guys did not know. I'm pretty sure the song that's Christian's theme in AEW is literally just the instrumental theme of what I'm assuming the song was in TNA, which was like an Evanescence song from, like, their debut album. It was like the same album that that Bring Me Back to Life was. The Daredevil song was in there. It was in that same album. So, would have been nice if they went all the way rather than just doing like an acapella version, like la 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 la. Instead of them actually doing the holding in, the whole lyrics to the song, man. That would have been cool. But it is what it is. Maybe that's I should say thing or whatever. So Christian makes his entrance. We actually see that Ken Jeong, if I'm pronouncing his name right, you guys know him from the Hangover movies, and and he was also in Dark Side of the Moon, Transformers, like that kind of, like, that guy. Yeah, you guys probably know. Yeah, anyway. So he was actually in the crowd, and actually, that wasn't the only person that was in the crowd. Steve-O was in the crowd as well, as well as Erica Harlancher Stone, if I'm pronouncing her name right, who you guys know is the English voice of An in Persona, as well as Venti for all you Genshin players out there. So she's in the crowd, man. She's actually a big wrestling fan. If you guys did not know, she was actually a TakeOver War Games 2018. The one where we have the Yui versus Aleister Black, Ricochet, and the War Raiders. No. It was Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders. That was the actual match. She still actually got Bobby Fish's shirt. He threw it into the crowd. She still has it. I remember I saw an interview of her actually wearing it. So that's a nice little fun fact, guys. The voice actress for An is a wrestling fan. So yeah, that's cool. She was there in attendance as well. She didn't post any pictures of where she was, like, sitting or nothing, which would have been nice. I would have liked to see where she was, to see if I could find her in the crowd while I was watching the show. But she was in there, man, so it was kind of cool. She actually, in a couple tweets she made about this, and if you check her replies, you can actually see she's actually an Orange Cassidy fan. So there you go, if you guys are curious what An's favorite wrestlers are in AEW. There you go. But yeah, that was pretty cool to see that she was actually in the crowd, man. That was cool. Like I said, I wish she'd post like a selfie or something, some videos, just so I know where she was in the crowd. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway. He doesn't appear to be in a hurry to get I just don't think he has it anyway. So we start the match. So Edge then eventually comes out as well. He actually has his own, like, face paint going on there, man. Like Darby and Edge, like Darby and Sting with, like, a skull on it. Don't know who did his makeup, man, but whoever did them, shouts to them, man. They did an amazing job. So we get the match. Of course, everyone wants to see Christian and Luchasaurus go out, but of course that doesn't happen. Instead, we see Edge and Nick Wayne go at it. Or no, it's Nick Wayne and Darby Allin. And also Ric Flair was there. They were in Sting and Edge's corner as well, and they eventually him and Christian, they actually had a little thing going on there. I remember when they started talking shit to each other. I was like, hey, my man is Ric Flair. We actually about to witness Ric Flair like actually like throwing hands with Christian. And we did, man. He actually had some chops and some moves off. So yeah, the crowd loved it, man. The crowd seemed to be loved. I was like, God, please, no more matches. Like, same time, like, please, for the love of God, Tony, do not give Ric Flair any more of this. We do not need to see another match with Ric Flair, dude. Yeah, one more match, and we'll probably actually witness his death or something, man. But regardless of such, man. So eventually Edge would get tagged in there. Then of course we'd have the stare off between him and Christian, and we're like, all right, let's do this. And then of course Christian tags in Luchasaurus, so he and Edge goes out for a bit. Eventually Darby gets tagged in. Then him and Luchasaurus start going at, and then Luchasaurus, Jesus Christ, man, I see spots like these and I genuinely question whether or not Darby Allin has a fucking death wish. So he picks him up in a choke slam and then like holds him up over the top rope, basically right in front of right above the apron, and slams him down, choke slams him onto the apron, man. It looked fucking nasty, bro. Like, I know Darby's a daredevil, and he will put his body on the line, for Undertaker, but like, sometimes, bro, you need to just chill with these fucking spots you do, bro. Like, I would like you to have a long, prosperous career, Darby, not have to retire when you're like 30. You know what I mean, bro? Because, to be fair, this was not as bad as that one spot where he literally just like, where he just literally just like dived right in front of the barricade on a diamond against Nick Wayne. Like, that was just an unnecessary spot. It looked nasty. I'm like, bro, for the love of God, think of your body, think of your health, bro, think of your family, as JR would often say, man. Like, this wasn't as bad as that spot, man, but it's like, for God's sakes, man, value your life a little bit more, bro. And I appreciate you'll do this for us, man, but for God's sakes, I do not want to witness your murder on live television or pay-per-view. You know what I mean, bro? So, very nasty spot. Very nasty spot. As eventually, they would keep going at Wild for a bit longer. Then we would go to the outside. Luchasaurus had, I believe, Edge picked up, where he then goes for like a suicide dive and was able to like roll over Luchasaurus' back and land on his feet. That looked really clean. I thought that looked pretty cool. And then Sting goes out and then does a crossbody off the apron onto Nick Wayne, I believe, and like Christian. So that looked pretty cool as well. And then eventually Edge would get tagged in there and starts rushing towards Christian. He starts trying to drag him out there while Nick Wayne's pulling him down, man, but he eventually manages to escape, man. And then once we get to like around the end of the match, like when I think it was like around the edge where Edge got tagged in again, Christian was legal man, or maybe he might have not been the legal man. He literally runs, bro. Christian runs like a bat out of hell, bro. As JR would often say, he's running like a scalded dog. Man, like he literally from the ring, he got from like the ring all the way to like the outside in like 10 seconds, bro. I did not know Christian could run this fast. He ran, bro, like his life depended, like he was a slave running to freedom from the plantation, bro. Like the speed, Christian, I did not know this man was part Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, it was insane, bro. I was like, damn, when this man get like the boost? Like Christian, I did not know that man was that fast. But eventually, after he runs all the way out to the outside by all the way by the opening in the arena for where the fans come in and everything. Once he's already there, they hit Luchasaurus with like all their finishers from Sting, Darby, and Edge. Edge gets the pin, and of course wins the match. We've a little bit after that, there Darby would like say, "Hey, this is Edge. This is Sting's last time in the state of California. Like, let's make some fucking noise for him." So everyone's like giving him a standing ovation, everything, because Edge's gonna know Sting's going to be retiring at Revolution, if I remember correctly. He'll be at Revolution where he's retiring fully, this time on his own terms rather than, due to injury with after the match he had with Seth Rollins at Night of Champions. So, good on him. He had a great run in AEW, I would say, man. And, this was a fantastic match. I really like this one. Then we had Orange and Moxley for the All-Atlantic Championship. But before that, we both had the segment where, because as you guys know, in the pre-show, MJF and Samoa Joe defend the ROH tag titles against the Guns. MJF will eventually get the win. I didn't watch the pre-show match. Like I said, I thought it was going to be like on the main card, but once again, it was on the pre-show. So I only saw like the last 10 minutes or so of the match. But they would win. Of course, the Guns start attacking MJF, attaching his leg and everything, and then he got him stretchered out onto an ambulance, and he was screaming at Adam Cole like, "Don't let him take my title! Don't let him take my title!" So, so then we have this segment where Tony Schiavone is at the front, is at the end, is at the ramp with the referee, and about basically now to announce that that by default Jay White is the new AEW champion fully, and he's like talking his shit, like, announce me, Tony, announce me, you idiot. And the Tony's like, shut the fuck up, like, calm down, bro, which was pretty funny. It's always funny when Tony's just like, well, you motherfucker, shut up, man, where he's just like tired of dealing with heel shit, man. It's always funny when Tony does that, man. It's always funny when he actually like fights back, when you be like, will you calm down, bro? That's always funny when he does that. But anyway, so they do this whole thing, but of course Adam Cole will come in there and say he'll take his place, and so he'll be the one to defend the AEW championship against him, and they make the match, and so cool. By this point, and also JDL's made a tweet, but like, I knew it was a work for months, and like I also kind of, and I was like, wait, was his injury all a work with like his injured leg? Because I remember when they first announced that when Adam Cole had injured his foot, and said like, oh, I tore this, I broke this, I was like, you made like, that's a lot of breakage, but you make this sound way worse than it makes it. Like, they made it like sound like as worse as possible. Be like, see, he's injured, he can't wrestle no more, and to like add on to the story. But then I saw a tweet from Britt Baker showing up basically in like an X-ray and also a picture of Adam's foot when they actually got examined. I'm like, oh, this ain't no work. His little foot is legitimately fucked up, because they were like bruising and everywhere all over, bro. I was like, oh god, so that's legit. So that's, or maybe they just have one hell of a makeup artist work on it. So once again, I'm questioning like, oh, was this actually all the work, or was he maybe got cleared and got his leg healed up way faster than people had originally suspected? But of course, as we know in the match, no, he's legit hurt, and they didn't, and eventually MJ will come back. So, but yeah, right here I was actually questioning the whole injury angle was just one massive work or not, but. Yeah, so we had that whole thing going on. Then we, of course, had Orange Cassidy and John Moxley for the All-Atlantic Championship. This was a fantastic match once again, man. The one thing I love about this match was just the constant no-selling. Both of them would take a move and they'd be like, ah! And keep going like that, like it barely affect the mouth, especially, man. So this match also, they started this match off fast and furious, going at, but eventually Mox, of course, would take on the upper hand. They would eventually take him on the outside, him against the barricade and all that shit before it brings him back in there, and or to get some slight offense in there with a series of suicide dives. They will go to the corner, and Mox would do his thing where he like scraps against the bag, but then Orange would repay the favor. Mox would also take down the turnbuckle pad on one of the top turnbuckles. He would of course start bleeding because John Moxley isn't complete without him starting bleeding somehow, So they would keep going at it, man. Orange would then or Mox would go for like a suplex, but Orange would counter into that stunner thing he does. But once again, like barely phase Mox. He just starts hitting with like a flurry of elbows before hitting with a bunch of clubbing blows before locking him into a headlock. That whole exchange looked really good, man. He even hits him Orange with his own kicks and everything, man. Orange is just pissed off. He's like, yeah, and they start like beating the shit out of each other once again. Orange would hit a orange punch, eventually goes in for a beef spray to eventually win the match, man. Like I said, this was a fantastic match, very much fast and furious, man, and it was just even though this match was probably like 5-10 minutes long, I think is how long it was, probably somewhere around there right there. They did make the most of it, man, and it was just a joy to watch from start to finish, man. Very fast paced, but it worked well, and this match once again was, like I said, fantastic. Next up, we had the women's championship match between Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm. This was a great match, man. This was a great match between them. And I have been loving the timeless Toni story. Like, ever since Toni's kind of lost her mind since losing the AEW Women's Championship All In, and then, had the fallout with the Outcasts. Like, I've been loving this timeless Toni Storm, especially obviously being very much inspired by, like, Marilyn Monroe and, like, old Hollywood movie stars from, like, the 30s and the 40s and that whole era of movie business, man. Great shit, man. I've been loving it. They're doing the whole thing with the filmers having black and white, the film great, everything. It's looking amazing. Toni's promos have been spectacular, and having the short films, the mini short films airing during like the commercial breaks, everything in picture, man. Obviously, make sure that keep the whole silent thing going. It's been great, man. I've been loving the gimmick. And you guys know how much I love Hikaru Shida, man. She's probably my favorite women in AEW. Girl that isn't Paige or somebody else. But I have to, and I also loved her outfit this match she had during on there, and I love what she did with her hair. I have like different highlights of like green and blue in there, man. Looked amazing. But I am not a fan of what they've been doing with Hikaru lately, and this weird like hot potato shit they've been doing with the belt. Like they've almost turned her into the Sasha Banks of AEW, and when I mean Sasha, I mean early Sasha Banks. Now you might be wondering what the hell I mean by that. You guys may remember when Sasha first came into the WWE, or at least rather into the main roster, I should say, they had this whole thing with Charlotte and her hot potatoing the belt. You know, Sasha would win would like maybe win it at pay per view, then lose it the following week, and or would win it on like say a Raw, then lose it the pay per view. They do it, and then they would have the rematch on a Raw. She would win the belt again, then lose it the following pay per view against Charlotte. They did this hot potato thing for like 3 months straight, man. Of just here's Charlotte gets the belt. Now Sasha has the belt. Now Charlotte has the belt again. Now Charlotte has. They've been kind of doing that whole thing, but with Hikaru for real, because you guys know. First of all, they had a match between her and Tony. The week of All In, I think it was. The go home show for All In. So Hikaru won the match, and she was a champion going into All In. I was like, oh cool, Hikaru's champion again, fantastic. She loses the belt at All In to Paige. Makes sense, and which made me question why the fuck they even put the belt on her if she was just gonna lose it anyway. Like, especially what they were planning to do with Toni Storm anyway, with her falling out with the Outcast. Wouldn't it have been better if she just kept the championship and then had I believe Paige even pinned Tony as well in that match. So like it made me question like what was even the point of giving Hikaru the belt leading into All In if you were just gonna take it right off of her? So I thought that was bizarre. Then she would win the belt against Paige. And I was like, okay, now she's gonna get a real title reign. We'll see her, really, see what she is. Now she's champion again. Now in front of fans because she was champion throughout the pandemic, and now she's back in front of fans as champion. Cool. We should see a good trend. Once again, loses it. Once again, a month later, to Toni Storm, and it's like. What is the point of giving her the belt if you're just gonna take it right back off her, man? Like, I wish they would just let her breathe, man. Let Hikaru, and yes, this is probably also my personal bias on because you guys know I love Hikaru and I want to see her, succeed, have a good, women's title reign, man. Actually in front of fans for once. But I'm not been a fan of her just kind of like giving her the belt just to take it right back off. And it's like, come on, let her have the belt for a while. Let her go at it for like 3-6 months or something, bro. Let her actually enjoy, let her actually be able to do something with this title reign, man. But I guess it makes sense because Tony's been red hot. It's definitely been on a good streak lately, and everyone's been loving the timeless Toni Storm gimmick. So obviously, it makes sense to give her the belt. I'm excited to see what she's gonna do now. She has the belt in with her future, promos and everything, man. What she's doing with the timeless Toni Storm gimmick, but it's like. I wish it wasn't at the expense of Hikaru. They were able to push this back maybe like a few more months and then eventually switch the belts. But oh well, But whatever. Like I said, the match itself was great. So so Toni comes to the match already having her chest red. Somehow I believe in college they mentioned that was because of the hands of Emi Sakura. You guys know as Hikaru's trainer. Don't know when this happened. I would assume this was like a Rampage or something. Rampage or something. That's why she still would have the bruising. I would assume it would have happened to been the previous day, I think, or I don't know, maybe it was at some other show or something. But regardless of such, man. Also, I love Tony's gear as well. She kind of was very reminiscent of the old school strongman wrestlers where they only had the one singlet rather than the two. So I thought that was a nice touch as well from Tony to obviously keep going into that whole 30s, 40s type gimmick and era thing that she's been going on with the timeless gimmick. Like I said, I've been loving it. But anyway, so she comes out there. She also has this tray with various weapons right by her corner with her butler that's kind of been chilling right there. But anyway, so we start the match off there. They go at it, and then like I said, Tony's chest are red. So eventually Hikaru gets her on the ropes and pulls down her singlet. I was not completely so you can see her tits or nothing. No, just a little bit, just enough for her chest is a little bit more exposed. You can see the red. Obviously not going that far, bro. Come on, behave yourselves. But and starts chopping her before they keep before eventually get you on the match, and then Tony would eventually start using the shoe. I've been loving the shoe thing, the whole and tits up and watch for the shoe. That old shoe thing she's doing has been hilarious, man. So she grabs one of the shoes while having her butler tuck away the other one in her pants or her shorts or whatever. into her gear behind her so that Aubrey would notice it when she comes rushing towards her with the shoe in clear view. So, Aubrey, of course, grabs the shoe that she was carrying, then pulls out the other one she had behind her, and then hits Hikaru with it. Once again, this would give her a near fall. This match will continue onward. They will go to the outside. Hikaru will grab her kendo stick, looks like she was going to start to attack Tony with it, but her butler comes in there and she starts beating the shit out of him with it. So then she grabs this plate, and I gotta say, man, how the fuck did Aubrey not know this place? Like, you guys know, Tony's got a fat ass, bro. It's kind of hard to miss this thing. Especially when she has it literally hanging on her ass, bro, around the end of the match, bro. And like I said, Tony has a very fat ass, man. So I feel like this would be very hard to notice or very hard to miss, excuse me. So don't know how Aubrey never noticed this thing throughout the entirety of the match, man. So eventually you could start to see kind of slipping out of her gear. I think Tony started to realize this. She was like, oh shit, better fix this. So she kind of rearranged it so it looked like it was right on her ass cheek. Looks like it was barely hanging on. I don't know what it was hanging on because it looks like it was almost all out of her shorts. So don't really know, or it might have been just barely still there to keep it in place. Anyway, hits her with a hip attack or whatever into the corner, and then eventually would go and get the win via that. Like I said, you can see the play clear as day on her ass, and it's even in front. It's not like it was on the other side where Aubrey wasn't looking. It was literally right in her field of view while she was counting the pin. How do you not notice this? How did you not notice this plate, Aubrey? Come on, bro. Felt like this ending could have been done a little bit better and made it look a little not so obvious, man. But that's just me personally. I don't know if you guys felt the same way or not. But either way, man, this was a really great match, man. I really enjoyed this one. Next up, we then had the 4-way ladder match for the tag titles, man. This match was insane, man. I definitely will say the crowd made this match, man. They definitely really enhanced the match, man, because they were wild in this match, man. But anyway, we had Big Cass and Ricky Starr going against FTR, Brody King and Malachi Black. What the fuck was their tag team game again? I forget what their faction name was. I'm slipping on their name. And then we also had La Fienzo Ingo Bernable. Probably I butchered this, but anyway, you had a Rush with Sin Cara. There. And like I said, this match, I'm not even gonna try to recap this match for you guys. This shit was just too goddamn insane. I'll just go over some of my favorite spots, man. So you had Big Cass and Brody King going at it to the chance of meat and beef every time they would strike at each other when they had the ring to themselves, man. And then Brody King would start bleeding at some point during the match, man. And then we get to the ladder spots featuring Brody King, man. Jesus fucking Christ, this man is fucking insane. Where there was a ladder draped over the bottom rope, and Dash, had him up on the top turnbuckle. They were going at it a little bit. He was beating on him before he then pulls him up and then fucking pile drives him into the ladder. Bro, when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, I was losing my goddamn shit, tweeting like a madman. It was insane, bro. When I saw that pile drive through, I was like, oh my god, good God almighty, he killed him. And then, man wasn't done yet. No, good sir. And then, then there was another ladder setup from the ring apron, from the apron onto one of the barricades. And he picked up, I believe it was Sin Cara, might have been Rush. I don't remember specifically who it was, but literally grabbed him up in a package pile drive position, walked on the ladder for a few steps before pile driving him through the ladder, man. How this thing didn't completely snap in half is beyond me, bro. Hell, it was probably a good thing it didn't, because he would have probably landed right on his head. Probably wouldn't. So it ends up hitting on the side, man. So it's kind of draped over. It was kind of dipped over on one side, man. It was I was like, my God, someone called 911. We just witnessed a murder. I was losing my goddamn mind. And then Brody King, and then the ladder from the guy that's with Sin Cara and Rush, pulls up the ladder, resets it up there, and then puts Brody King back on it for Dash to hit a crossbody onto him, which he kind of was losing his balance. He just managed to get his balance just barely enough in order to hit the crossbody. And yeah, man, that spot was just insane. The ladder spots, man, were just insane, bro. I was losing my goddamn mind on them. But anyway, Ricky Stark would eventually grab the belt and, of course, retain the AEW tag titles, man. This was a fantastic tag team match, man. This ladder match was incredible. Next up, we have the TBS Championship triple threat match between Chris Stanlander, Sky Blue, and Julia Hart. This match was a match I made sure to pay special attention to because, like I said before, I didn't really pay attention to Chris Stanlander's and Julia Hart's match they had Wrestle Dream, the previous pay-per-view. Like I said, that was like my bathroom break match. Wasn't really that invested into it going into it, and I was like, yeah, whatever, bathroom. I didn't think it was gonna be anything that crazy. Which you guys know, I didn't mention it in my review, or I guess review if you want to call it that, my thoughts on Wrestle Dream when I made that community post. I sent it to my man, which I always send in my reviews for those shows, just so he knows what I thought. It was like, oh, you didn't mention the match. I was like, oh, didn't think of it like I was on my phone, most of it. Like, that was my bathroom break match. And so that, I saw a lot of people were really into that match. So I made sure to pay extra attention to this match. And like I said, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this at the start of the video, this was a fantastic, like, this low-key stole the show for me. And this is definitely one of the best matches on the card, man. And now, first of all, let's get the obvious out of the way. The elephant in the room, if you will. Sky Blue is bad as hell, bro. Oh my god. Bro, she fine, bro. And I love their makeup she had going on there, bro. I love the way her makeup looked great. But, yeah, to state the obvious. First of all, Julia Hart came out first, and I love her entrance music. I love her theme song. Sounds great, man. So her came out, then Sky Blue, and then, of course, Chris Chandler. We start the match off both with Chris Chandler like basically baiting both the women to come at her, be like, okay, hey ladies, come on. So then they start going at it. Eventually Sky Blue and Julia Hart kind of work together and kind of create a sort of alliance, and they eventually start to team up to get rid of Chris Stanlander. They go back inside the ring, and then they both kind of like shake hands before Julia Hart kind of grabs her hand and kind of caresses her face before she grabs it, and then just hits her with an elbow to the face before they start going at it. Eventually, Julia Hart will go out to the outside. I gotta say, Julia Hart looked great. Both her and Sky Blue looked great this match. I gotta say it. They've definitely both have become women, because I've seen some people mention Julia Hart here and before. Like I said, I haven't paid too much to her match. Sky Blue, I've heard some run memos just because she's hot, But after watching this match, and of course seeing Sky Blue's match she had on Dynamite as well, I'm definitely gonna keep my eyes on both these ladies, man. They're both very good in the ring. It's almost kind of been like a Tiffany Stratton kind of situation with both of them. Where I didn't really think much of them first, but then as I was like, okay, they're actually really good. But I wasn't unlike them. I wasn't with Twitch. I was like, oh god, I was like, ugh, kill me when I first saw her gimmick and everything, man. So that was just kind of mostly different to both of these women, but. Anyway, as I say, Julia Hart goes up to the outside. Her and Chris kind of have a stare down, and once again Chris kind of baits her in there, and Chris hits her with a devastating scoop power slam, which looked really good. She goes onto the apron. Sky Blue hits her with a big boot before rolling her into the ring, and then I believe she hit her with another kick, and then would go for Code Blue for a really close near fall, bro. I honestly thought that this was going to be the end, that Sky Blue was going to win the championship here, man. I legit thought she was going to win the belt right here, man. That was a really nice spot. She goes for it again, but Julia Hart manages to push her out of the way, and then hits Chris Stanley with a clothesline to the back of the head, and goes in there for her broken heart submission, I believe is what it's called, before that gets broken up by Chris Stanlander. As the match would progress onward, Chris would eventually be able to hit Saturday Night Fever, goes for the pin, but Julia Hart, will go in there with a clothesline and eventually steal the victory and steal the pin from Chris Stanlander to become your new AEW TBS champion. Like I said before, this is a fantastic match, and this match definitely turned me into a fan, into both to Sky Blue and Julia Hart. Maybe not so much a fan, but definitely two women I'm definitely keep my eyes on from now on when they have matches on Diamond. Because I don't really watch Rampage, I don't watch Collision unless it's there's a match in there that I'm really intrigued by. I don't watch those shows, but I'm definitely going to keep more of an eye on Sky Blue and Julia Hart. More specifically, Sky Blue for reasons. You know what I mean? Like I did that, bro. She's bad as hell, bro. I'm sorry. Y'all know me. But yeah, man. They're both great. They're both great. They've both proven to be great wrestlers, and like I said, definitely keep my eyes on them both from now on, man. They both really impressed me with this match. Chris Statlander, she's always been great. After the match, that's when we got the announcement that Will Ospreay was a new signing coming to AEW. Obviously, I'm super excited. You guys know how much I love Will Ospreay from the times I was reviewing Wrestle Kingdom. I always loved Will Ospreay, man. Been loving him, since I've been started watching New Japan, loving the heel gimmick he's been doing. So I'm glad to see that he's finally coming to AEW, man. It seems like it's gonna be a while till we see him in AEW, like not until next year. I don't know if it's because he was mentioning stuff about like New Japan. He was like he's been there for so long, he had some stuff to finish over there. So I don't know if that just means his contract just hasn't expired yet, or if he just still has some like remaining shows he's gonna be doing before he's finally free to go to AEW after getting through these whatever his last appearances are. So yeah, don't know how that works out. That means he's like still under contract with New Japan, technically, but he's at like at the end of the deal and he decided to go to there instead. Yeah. Regardless of such, man, we're going to see him in 2024. I do wonder if we're going to see Will Ospreay Wrestle Kingdom. He, like I said, did mention he still has some New Japan shows to do as well before he could go all the way to go full AEW. So, don't know if that means we're going to be seeing him at Wrestle Kingdom this year or not. Hopefully we do. I always love watching him. But, yeah, I've seen one last time in the Tokyo Dome. But yeah, Will Ospreay, he's coming to AEW, and that's amazing. So then we finally get to the next match, which is, of course, Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland, man. And Jesus Christ, bro. This Texas Death match was like, this might have been arguably the most gory or graphic or, I guess, savage, barbaric, if you would say, Texas Deathmatch we have gotten in AEW, or Deathmatch in general we have gotten in AEW. And, most of them have been with Jon Moxley, so, shit gets crazy. But I think this one might have been, like, the most graphic with it. I don't know. I could be wrong with that one, but like shit was insane with this match. We had cinder blocks, broken glass, barbed wire chairs, bro. We had fucking lynchings. Like shit was crazy, bro. Shit was crazy. So, but this obviously was probably. If this was a match of the night for me, it was definitely the main event. It's kind of a toss between these two matches on which one I liked more, but this was still an amazing match. Once again, I am not even going to try to recap this match because I'm just going to give y'all some of my favorite spots because there's no way I could do this match justice reviewing it, but so Swerve makes his entrance. Of course, you got Prince Nana doing his whole dancing thing, which I think I mentioned in my review I didn't review Wrestle Dream, but like I definitely noticed like in the previous AEW show he was doing that dance. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? So yeah, now it's become this whole thing. He had like backup dancers on. He's doing the oh my god, that's a D. You're doing the whole dance thing, and of course people in the crowd are doing it too, man. It works, man. It's funny. It works. So shout out to Prince Nana for that one, man. But anyway, he gets into the ring. Hangman doesn't even wait. He just runs right in there, man. And they start going at each other fast and furious, man. The match would go into the outside, and Isaiah with Swerve would start bleeding. And it's kind of weird, too, because at the start of the match, it wasn't that bad how much he was bleeding. But, like, by the end of the match, this man straight up had a full-on crimson mask going on there and was bleeding like prime Ric Flair, bro. Like, it was nasty. Hangman would start bleeding as well, but definitely nowhere near as bad as Swerve was. Swerve was bleeding like you guys know. I mentioned this in my my written review I did for Wrestle Dream. That match the first match he had with Hangman was definitely felt like a showcase of his talents, which most of us already know, guys like me, because you guys know we watched him in NXT, so we already knew how good Swerve already was from his time in NXT. But that felt like a true showcase of talent, and him looking at TK saying, "Motherfucker, give me a single towel." This match felt the same way of him screaming at TK, "Motherfucker, give me a single top," but also showing how just fucking batshit insane he is and how tough he is. Because like Isaiah's, I keep saying call him Isaiah Swerve Scott, but Swerve, he was put through the ringer during this match, man. So shout out to, like I said, he was bleeding like crazy. There was some really crazy spots he was involved in. Of course, he had the staple gun thing where Hangman would start like stapling him, with him. Then he would eventually grab like one of his son's like finger paintings and stapled it to his cheek. I thought he was gonna do it to his forehead. Honestly, I thought that was what he was gonna do, and then just rips it off, man. It looks like, which I think it might have also broke skin. He might have started bleeding from when he like managed to staple it to his face because there was like some red stuff. But I don't know if that was just red paint, but I don't think it was there before, so that might have been blood. Not entirely sure if that one was or not, but that was a pretty crazy spot. And then Swerve would hit a pile driver on the on the top of the barricade, which I'm shocked he was able to do. It's even Taz was like shocked that he was able to do this anyway, because you know how thin the barricade is there, and there isn't much room for you to put your feet on there and get some good balance on there. So I'm shocked he was able to hit the move at all. But he had a pile driver. Then they eventually introduced a cinder block, which reminded me of what happened between Seth and Dean Ambrose when they had their feud back in 2015, when the Shield first, or I think it was 2014 actually. Excuse me, when they had their whole feud right after the Shield broke up there, and Seth curb stomping through like a bunch of cinder blocks, man. Y'all remember that shit, man? Oh, that feud was amazing, man. That was such a good feud. But yeah, then we got tables get in there, you know, and the crowd's chanting, "We want fire." Y'all some sick bastards. Hangman would hit like a moonsault on the outside to swerve while holding a steel chair wrapped in barbed wire, and then oh my god, bro, this definitely was not planned, but it worked out perfectly. Where Hangman was up on the top rope, sitting on the top rope, and Swerve would hit him in the back with the chair with the barbed wire. But some of the barbed wire got loose and ended up getting right into it, and managed to get stuck in his hair and inside his mouth. That they showed it perfectly on the replay, man. It looked brutal, but damn it looked good, man. Like I was like that. There was definitely no way that was planned. That was definitely kind of like a happy accident, as you would say, but it worked out perfectly with the brutality of the match. It went well with that. So yeah, then of course Hangman would like hit dead eyes on Prince Nana onto a table that looked pretty good. Then Isaiah would hit him in the back of the head with the cinder block. Obviously, I'm sure it's gimmick. It's not like an actual cinder block, especially with how much it just shatters on contact. So you know, I doubt they would just start throwing real cinder blocks at each other. But then Swerve would bring in fucking broken glass and hit a 450 on Hangman's back. That looked nasty. Then Brian Cage would eventually come in the match, hit him with an F5, but Hangman ran to get rid of him. He had like a buckshot lair with like some barbed wire wrapped around his hand. Had some barbed wire wrapped around Isaiah's throat or his neck, and was like choking him with it or whatnot. But we finally end the match off with Swerve straight up like lynching, straight up lynching the Hangman Adam Page, and then when they started getting to like 8 and 9, you could see Hangman started to move a bit. I was like, hey, yo, is he gonna get back up from this? I thought he was gonna get back up from it, but nah, he didn't get back on his feet for the 10 count, and the match was finally over, man. This, like I said, I did not do this match justice. Y'all just have to go back and watch it for yourself, man. This was an incredible match, man. Like, even if you're someone that doesn't like the death match, which I can understand, you guys know I mention this all the time whenever we have death matches on AEW card. That's not my preferred type of wrestling, but I always do enjoy those matches. At the very least, for the competitors on, and appreciate what the work rate, I guess you could say, of the competitors involved with it. I'm never like, oh my god, it's too bloody. You guys know me, I love my horror movies, man, but like, not really into the death match scene, not my thing, but I do enjoy these matches from time to time. AEW doesn't do that all the time. And yeah, shouts to both these men, man. They definitely both earned their paychecks tonight. And yeah, hopefully, you know, with Swerve winning, this means that he might be the one to defeat Orange Cassidy for the All Atlantic Championship. Because who the hell has the TNT champion? Because I don't think it's being Christian for the TNT championship. I think he's gonna keep that. He's obviously not being MJF just yet. So I think they'll probably give him the All Atlantic champ to have him beat Orange Cassidy. I think that's where they're gonna be going with Swerve. Because you gotta give him a belt at this point, man. Like, I think Swerve has proven himself, man. It's about time you gave this man a fucking belt. But that's just my opinion. Next up, we had Kenny Omega and Y2J versus the Young Bucks for, like, I guess, like the number one contendership for the AEW tag team titles. This is a fantastic match in its own right as well, man. Yeah, so we started the match off with Kenny, and I believe Matt was going at it originally. Then, of course, Chris Jericho would go in there, and then eventually Chris would actually get Matt into the corner, into his corner, and start hitting him with a flurry of chops. But this thing I thought was kind of bizarre, where Kenny then tags himself in there and straight up like pushes Chris away from Matt, so he's able to get out of the corner. Which, now listen, we all know that Kenny and the Buck are friends and all that shit, man. But like, this is a match for a tag team, you know, championship opportunity, bro. And like, yeah, there's been some beef between them going on there, stemming because the Bucks don't like Chris Jericho for whatever reason, and all that. But like, this is still in the middle of the match. Would you? I know he's your friend, but would you really like just like stop him from, you know, getting hit with chops in the corner, let him get out? Like, I don't know. I don't know what y'all thought about that spot, but I thought that was a little bizarre. Even with the context and everything, I feel like that's still like, a match is a match, bro. Unless it's like getting really crazy, I wouldn't really see the point of breaking it up, bro. I don't really get that. Bro. That was just me. I don't know if y'all felt the same at all. But the match would continue onward, and then Matt would eventually get Chris Jericho onto the outside, and then would like stick his arm in between the ring post and the steel steps and kick it a couple times and start attacking the arm, his Judas Effect arm, which I don't know if this was from the stair spot or some other point in the match, but there was that. But later on into the match, you could see that Chris's arm was starting to bleed. There was some blood coming on there. I don't know if it was from that attack, from that move, or was somewhere else in the match, but eventually his arm did start bleeding, and they started attacking downward to like get rid of the Judas Effect. As the match would progress onward, Chris would manage to get in the walls of Jericho onto, I believe, Matt Jackson, I believe it was, after he tried to like do some like a Hurricane Run or some other move, and Chris was able to like get him down there, stop him, move him in, and then just walk forward and sit down into the walls of Jericho. As the match, but eventually the arm would give out, and he would have to let go of his arms and moving into like a single Boston Crab. But Matt was able to get out of that and just starts kicking at him with the heel of his foot into his injured arm to get him out there. So he was able to do that. Eventually, you would have, I believe it was Nick actually hit a low blow on Chris Jericho behind the ref's back, and Kenny comes in there, and it looks like Nick's about to hit him, and he's like, "Bro, you gonna hit me too? You gonna hit me in my nuts too?" But then he kind of like backs away, and then Matt would actually be the one to hit Kenny in the balls, which that was crazy. But eventually Chris would get his revenge on Nick Jackson when Aubrey wasn't looking to get his own low blows. Also, the Bucks were wearing like Kobe esque gear with like the 8 and 24, which I thought was a nice touch as well. But yeah, as the match would progress onward, we would eventually have both Nick Jackson on one side of the ring and Kenny Omega on the ropes on the other side or not Kenny Omega, Chris on the other side of the ropes, and he like points the finger gun at Chris, thinking he's like gonna go and betray Chris Jericho, join back with the Elite and V-trigger Chris, but he runs the rope, passes Chris Jericho, and then bam, nails Nick Jackson with the V-trigger, man. That spot was amazing, bro. That was an amazing spot of the match. Eventually, Matt would go. I believe it was Matt as well. I believe it was Matt. Would hit a one-winged angel on Kenny Omega, which I would get a near fall. But eventually we end the match off with Kenny hitting the one-winged angel on Matt Jackson for the 1, 2, 3. Fantastic tag team match, man. So I guess now him and Chris and Kenny, are now the new #1 contenders for the AEW Championship. So that should be an interesting match whenever that happens, man. And yeah, I'm curious to know what they're gonna do with the Bucks now, because I feel like this isn't the end of their storyline. I would not be surprised whenever they do get a tag match that the Bucks interfere in it somehow and cost them the titles or something. Would not be surprised if that ends up happening for that inevitable tag title match. And then finally, we had the main event between Adam Cole, then back to MJF, and the Switchblade. First of all, I actually just found out today that Switchblade was from New Zealand. Like, I didn't know I just found that out last night when I was watching the show. While I was watching the show, because I didn't know he was from New Zealand. I was like, oh, so that's where he's from. I guess I just never paid attention to his ring announcements, or I just forgot. But yeah, I found out that he's actually from New Zealand. I was like, oh, so that's where he's from. Anyway, small thing aside. Also, guys, I don't know if I mentioned this before producing the review, but like, Nigel was wilding on commentary, bro. Like, I don't know if I mentioned, like, you guys know how much I love Nigel McGuinness, Black and Gold NXT, him and Moro, man, they were incredible, man. Nigel, man, he was amazing on commentary tonight. Man was wilding the fuck out as the color commentary, especially during this match about the guns and like Adam Cole didn't need to do this. He stuck his nose where it didn't belong. And, like, man was just wilding the entire night throughout this match, man. He was awesome, man. So, yeah, of course, like I said, Adam Cole stuck in first place for the time being, and then MJF would come in there in an ambulance and starts like limping over to the ring, and which I found funny is that you have doctors trying to stop him to get in the ring when Adam Cole's on fucking crutches is already in there. So it's like, you know what I mean? And like I said, I think I mentioned this in the review. Well, was this match a little overbooked? Did they really need to do this whole kayfabe entry angle to add to the match? No, not really. It would have been, I think, just as great regardless of it. But like I was still on the edge of my seat throughout the entire match. So, it still worked at the end of the day, man. But I will say it probably was a little overbooked. And MJF, man, this man was wilding like fucking Red was due today, man. Which we'll talk about that. Today. So he eventually gets into, of course, the ring, and Adam Cole's now on the outside. being in his corner to while of course he has the while Jay White has the guns in his corner. Now, I also have now, of course, the match starts when the match, and also once again, I am once again not even gonna try to recap this match. I'm just gonna go over some of my favorite spots because this match was like what 30 minutes of long, bro, and it was just like, and there's no way in hell I could even do it justice regardless. But anyway, we start the match off. Of course, MJF goes for like a swing, goes for like a slap or something, but instantly falls down because, of course, because of his injured like leg or calf or whatever the fuck is injured, his leg, and then of course, Switchblade is attacking that throughout the early parts of the match, throws him out to the outside. Of course, the Guns get in there and they start beating on him, softening him up some more, and then that happens a couple times, but MJF would eventually, fight back, but the numbers game would get to him. Then I think they actually went and pulled out a steel chair and they got caught red-handed and they got kicked out. I know they got kicked out. I don't know if it was because they were using a steel chair or not. I might be wrong on that one, but regardless of such. So that whole thing happened, and then of course he Jay White rips his shirt off there and throws it at Adam Cole, and there was a lot of shit talking between Adam Cole and Jay White for this match. But eventually MJF would get some offense, and then he would start going there. He would get some offense, and the leg would go in there. But like I mentioned before a little bit earlier, this man MJF was wrestling where like fucking rent was due or something. Like MJF, this entire match took risks that I don't think we've ever seen him in his career, and I don't know if it's because he did this for the match or if he's just like, fuck it, let's do this. Because, MJF has never been one for taking risks or doing really crazy, high spots or anything. Because whether that was because he wanted to be hit for his heel character or maybe just didn't want to do those spots, I don't know. Whatever the case may be, this man was wilding out tonight because first of all, you have the first spot where he puts Jay White on the announce table. It instantly breaks. So, and like the fans start booing, and then but surprisingly, MJF was like, "Fuck it, we're doing the spot anyway." So obviously, what the original spot was going to be was going to put him on the table and then hit an elbow drop off the top rope to the announce table to of course break. But of course, since the table was already broke, he was already on the floor. So he was basically kind of like, this was kind of dangerous, honestly. If you ask me, like he probably could have gotten himself injured, honestly, from this spot because there wasn't really nothing to break his fall. Basically, his entire weight came down on himself, where he just like elbows drops the floor basically. It still looked pretty good, honestly, but like probably not the smartest spot to go for, if you ask me. And then there's this other spot where man thinks he's like prime Randy Orton or something, runs, like you have Jay White on the apron, and MJF is inside her. He runs over to where Jay White is, jumps over the top rope, grabs Jay White, and hits an RKO onto the outside. I saw that my eyes could not believe what I just saw. I saw the greatest RKO ever created, man. That's an RKO that will bring a tear to Randy Orton's eye, if you ask me, man. I was like, did I just, like I said, MJF was wrestling where like fucking rent was due during this match. And like I said, this is another like really crazy spot where definitely I don't think this was as bad as the elbow drop spot. But once again, I feel like you cannot run the risk of getting MJF injured at this point, man, because like everything's going on right now. It definitely derail a lot of what AEW got going on. He got injured and would have to relinquish the belt. But like this spot was definitely a lot, but probably not as dangerous as like the elbow drop spot, but still looked insane, man. I gotta say that spot looked absolutely crazy. So you have that. Then of course Jay White would lock in the figure four, and Adam Cole is like thinking of throwing in the towel, which is his yellow shirt, and like MJF is screaming at him, don't do it, and then eventually he's able to like switch his weight around, so all the weight's now on Jay White. He managed to get to the ropes, man, and just this match was just insane, man, from just start to finish, man, but eventually, MJF would eventually get the win with, I believe it was a heat seeker. Was what he hit to get the win, man, and just a phenomenal match. Like I said, this was match of the night or the death match, man. It was kind of a toss between two, but I think I would lean more towards this match than I would the death match for match of the night, if you ask me, man. Just what an incredible match, man. What an incredible match. But like I said, I was on the edge of my seat throughout the entire match as it was happening, man. And just crazy match, man. Just crazy match. But yeah, man, that's all I got for you guys today for Full Gear. This was a fantastic show. Overall, my thought for this show is going to be a 9.5 out of 10, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like, if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on my social if you feel like it. Links to rocks below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time. She's
still got it, still got it.